what you see here today. So what we're going to show you is the next generation of the Outlook integration between Infor CRM and Microsoft Outlook, the desktop version. There's always been some form of this, like I mentioned, over the years, but they really have polished it up and added lots of new features and functions that make it a pretty complete and rich experience from a user's perspective. At least I think so. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm not going to do a full soup to nuts demo of Xbar and the desktop integration. I'm going to focus on what's new and changed from the previous versions, which is really anything from 8.0 and above to now 8.3, which started shipping last week. You can download it from the Infor Xtreme portal and get your hands on this newest version of what they're now calling it just Xbar. That's one thing I'll mention here, is that it used to be that you would install Xbar and then you would install the Outlook enhancements or the Office enhancements. They called it Desktop Integration Manager. That now, all of that installs at once. So when you choose install the enhancements from inside of Infor CRM, you're going to get both pieces of software, so that combine them together to make installing it just one less step. That's not huge, but it's nice. So that's one change I'll mention here. Okay, so this is only going to work with 8.3. That's one thing I'll come right out of the gate and say. I've tried it on some of the older versions, 8.2 and 8.0. It kind of works, but it also kind of makes a mess of things. So there's obviously some technical changes that happened in the way that it interoperates with SData and so forth. So I can tell you that you may be happy with how it works in maybe 8.2 or 8.0, but it's only supported in 8.3 fully, and that's what I'm using it on today. And like I said, it seems to work as advertised without any issues. So let's get into what's new and different here. So I'll start out by showing you Outlook, of course, and you'll notice the familiar Xbar totem, they call it, which I assume is like totem pole, because it's a stack of contact cards based on it finding a match in the email and who is CC'd, who is it to, who is it from. So the totem presents you with all three people that were involved in this particular email. And again, this is being powered by SData, so that's how it's literally going and getting the data and presenting it to you. So before we go too much further, I'll show you a couple of changes in the settings area. So if we click on this little hamburger and we go into the settings for this new 1.3 Xbar, you're going to see some new, two new fields here that let you choose what opportunity group and what ticket group it's going to show you data for when you look at tickets or you look at opportunities for a contact record in the Xbar itself. The previous version showed you everything that was related to that contact, and that could make quite a long, messy list. So all I did was I said, okay, when I click on a contact and I want to see the opportunities for that contact, just show me the open ones. I don't want to see all the other ones. So that's what I've done, is just show me the open. And same for the tickets. Maybe I don't care to see every ticket in the whole system for one of my accounts, but I do want to see the ones that are assigned to me. So I've selected my tickets. And these are just driven by, this dropdown is driven by whatever the groups are that you have in the Infor CRM client. So it's going out and reading what are my groups, letting me pick the one that I want, and now that's what's going to happen. Okay, so there's a few other configuration settings, like how many contact cards to show right out of the gate, and then if I load more, so if you got a big email with 20 recipients or whatever, rather than showing you all 20, you can say, just show me the top 3, and I'll click load more if I want to see more than 3. So that's what those settings are. Pretty obvious. So if we go back here now, the other change that they've made is if you go to John Abbott's record, for example, and you open up one of the My Tickets, which is what I did here. I clicked on the little clipboardy thing here, which is going to show me my tickets, as you can see. And if I hover over the dollar bill, it shows me all the open opportunities. So it's kind of showing me the group that I selected, so I know in advance what I'm going to see. So if we go into a ticket here, one of the other changes they've made is they've added the ability now to classify tickets, whether it's a new ticket you created in Xbar or you're managing a ticket that's already created, which is what's happening here. You will notice that a little pop-out window shows up that's going to allow me to do this drill-through categorization. So as I pick the area and then the category and the issue, the list drives through based on how you have these set up, which is also cool because now in 8.3 and 8.201, you can manage your area, category, and issue right inside the web client. And that's what we're looking at here. So using S data, Xbar is going and pulling those records out of that table, area, category, and issue, and it's allowing me to classify tickets in Xbar just as I could do in the web client. So that's what this is doing. Kind of nice. It allows just a little bit more completion of the story when managing and creating new tickets. All right, so now let's get into what I think is really the most exciting part of the story is what they've done with calendar integration. So if we go over into the calendar area, I'm looking at a blank week, nothing going on this week. So let's go ahead and create a new calendar item in Outlook now. And you'll notice right away that there's a new panel that's available to me at the bottom of this screen. Top panel is Outlook, bottom panel is CRM. So if I put in something like test from Outlook and then pick my date and time, whatever that needs to be. So here's where the real magic is happening down here. It used to be in every version prior to this is that anything you created in Outlook was basically an orphaned meeting. It wasn't related to anything. Yes, it would sync over to your calendar in CRM, but it's not linked to anything. In fact, the only place you could see it is if you open the calendar view or your activity view, and there it was, an unlinked, unassociated meeting. So that whole story is changing. So down here at the bottom, if there's any recently viewed, it's kind of the breadcrumb trail. So I've been playing around with this morning. So it's saying, okay, you've recently added an appointment for John Abbott and Joe Adams and John Alfred. So it's kind of this recent list. That's what this little drop-down arrow is giving me. Same with opportunities and tickets. If I've recently used any of these to associate to a meeting, they show up here. But then if you click the magnifying glass, it's going to bring up your linked address book based on what the contacts are that you have available to you in CRM. So these are not Outlook contacts. These are Infor CRM contacts. This is a list of all the contacts in CRM. So I have the ability now to link this appointment to a CRM contact. You'll notice it automatically filled in their account record. It automatically pulled in John's phone number for me if I want to call him. And then the other thing it will do is it will show me then any opportunities. It's showing me now a filtered list of any opportunities that he belongs to. But I could, and this is kind of one of the strange parts, I could go out with the magnifying glass and pick an opportunity for a whole different company and link it to this meeting. I'm not really sure what the business use case of that would be, but it does do that and does let you do that. Just one of the things I'm a little puzzled by. So it makes more sense to me that I would choose an opportunity to link this meeting to that John Abbott is actually part of, and it actually belongs to Abbott Limited. And you can do the same thing with tickets. You can link it to a ticket. You can also change the meeting type. So everything in Outlook is either a meeting or a to-do. But in Infor CRM, meetings are literally meetings or phone calls or personal. So you could say, well, it is a meeting in Outlook, but in Infor CRM, I want this to show up as a phone call. So you can do that. You can change the activity type. This isn't altering the Outlook appointment in any way. It's just driving what it's going to show up as when it copies itself over into CRM. So hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, so now here's another kind of interesting feature, related entities. So we picked John Abbott, we picked Abbott Limited, but we also now have the ability to pick another CRM entity or record of some type, including other users of the CRM system. So if I say I want to pick another user, it's now presenting me a list with all the Infor CRM users. So let's say we want Dan Barrett to come along with us on this little meeting we're going to have tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I've added a user Dan Barrett, and I've added a contact, the person we're going to go see, John Abbott. But I can keep going. I can keep building out this list of other related entities within CRM, and they are all then going to remain associated and linked to this one giant meeting we're trying to assemble here. So it gets a little, again, it gets a little fuzzy to me why you would do this, but I haven't come up with a valid use case, but maybe you guys do on the phone. You can understand why. Okay, so these are all the linked entities. And then the final one I'll show you here is user fields. Now what is that? So if you click on this little pencil, it actually is showing you here every field that's exposed through SData in the activity table. So these are fields that exist in the activity table that have been exposed through SData, and that's what it's showing me. Now, you may see user def 1, 2, and 3, but those don't actually show up on an activity view in CRM, but they could. You could modify the activity screen in Infor CRM and show you something for user def 1, whatever that would be. So you can add these other fields. If they're grayed out, they're already part of the synchronization story. But if they're not grayed out, you can add them because they're available in the activity table. And certainly if you extend the activity table and you add custom fields and you expose them through SData, they're going to show up here as well, so that you can then, as you can see, I can now put data in those fields, and it's going to populate those fields when it copies this over into CRM. So again, pretty cool functionality here to add more stuff to your CRM system from this meeting. Okay, I'm going to jump back to details here and show you a couple other things. So we already filled this out. But if I want to see more information about John Abbott, so I clicked on this hyperlink for John Abbott, and now what I've got here is a little mini CRM view. So again, this is CRM data. So in real time, it wouldn't pulled all this data out of the CRM system for the John Abbott contact record. So it shows me all of his phone numbers, the website, his address, and things like that. There's some additional tabs that will show me, like, well, who's the owner of the Abbott Limited record, who's the account manager, what department is he in, who's his assistant. So you're familiar with these fields because these are what show up on his contact screen in CRM. And then you'll remember there's a details tab in CRM where you can put in things like your birthday and spouse's name. So it's actually pulling in some other data from that detail tab and showing that to you here. And then any linked opportunities are showing up here again as well. And then you can keep clicking into this stuff to see more data. Now here's one thing that I reported as an issue. You'll notice this Go to CRM button. In some of the systems we've been playing with, this doesn't go to the right place. Sometimes it tries to open the Windows client, and sometimes it doesn't put in the right URL. And again, it's probably a simple fix. Infor knows about it, they've verified it, and they're going to fix it for us. But what it's supposed to do is when you click on Go to CRM, it will open John Abbott's contact record in the CRM system. I'm not going to push it because it doesn't work for me. It works on one of my systems, but not this one. So there's something not quite right, but kind of handy. So I can open the full CRM record if I'm not seeing enough information here to do what I'm trying to do by clicking through these tabs. Okay, so what I want you to pay attention to is when I save this, this is a live push, which means that down here in the lower right corner of our screen, when I hit save, it's going to pop up, Infor CRM connector, test from Outlook. It was pretty quick, so I don't know if you caught it. But it actually did a real-time push of this activity we just created over into CRM. So if I refresh my calendar view now, you'll see here's that big meeting we have all scheduled for tomorrow, and it's Scott Abbott Limited linked to it. It says test from Outlook, John Abbott, phase 1. But you'll also notice under the participants tab, those other people and accounts we added, they're here. So it built this multi-attendee meeting for me. And so if I was to go to, of course, John Abbott's record, it's going to show that activity on his record as well. And it's going to show up on Dan Barrett's calendar because he's a user we invited. So it does honor and respect the whole multi-attendee functionality that was introduced in 8.2 is actually supported through the Outlook integration story. So they've really done a lot of work on this, which is pretty phenomenal. Okay, so jumping back, you'll notice right now, here's a completed activity. It has a checkbox. That means it was an activity, but it's been completed. This one we just created today is not completed, doesn't have the little checkbox, but if we go in here to Outlook and we open this meeting up, you'll notice I can complete it right here from Outlook. Now, Outlook has no concept of completing meetings. Meetings don't get completed. They just sit there with the assumption, since the time and date came and went, that you had it scheduled for, the assumption is it actually happened. Where in Infor CRM, you don't have to, you can complete activities, which moves them over to the history. It drops them off your calendar if you don't show history records on your calendar. So really that's what this is going to do. It's going to say, okay, I'm completing this Infor CRM meeting, but I'm doing it in Outlook. And even to go further with this, you can say, well, I want to do a phone call follow-up. So the whole workflow of scheduling a follow-up. So you'll notice the original appointment is sitting back here, but now there's a phone call scheduled, and I don't want to do it at the exact same date and time, but let's do it for Friday and say save it. And so now it completed. I'll show you so you don't even have to believe me. It would have completed a meeting for today or for tomorrow. You see the little checkbox here, and it created a phone call for tomorrow from that meeting. So all of this happened instantly, copied everything over, test from Outlook. You'll notice it even says this is a follow-up, so it added that in there. Pretty cool. So yeah, I just think this is really neat what they've done with it. I could definitely see myself probably literally managing my calendar and scheduling everything in Outlook, because now I can do everything I wanted to do right inside of Outlook without hopping between CRM and Outlook. So anyway, pretty cool part of the whole story. So that's what I wanted to show you today. I just think that they've done a great job with polishing this thing up. And with that said, Bria, I'm wondering if there are any questions about what we've seen today.
Thanks, Scott. There are some questions out here. And I will get right to it with our first one, which is, we have over 300,000 contacts in CRM. Are there any concerns about that size of a list or load when pulling in contact on the meeting in Outlook?
Yeah, I would say you probably are pushing the envelope there. I don't know what the envelope is, but even with I think there's 1,000 contacts or something in this demo database. Even with 1,000, it does take a few seconds for it to pull this list back. And I would think with 30,000, you're going to have a pretty giant list here. So that might be pushing the envelope a little bit, but you have the ability to throttle some of this. So what I mean by that is in Outlook itself, if you go to like your address book, you you can limit, you can have it so that all the contacts group doesn't show up if that's too many records, which it probably is in your case. So you have some ability to control which groups of records present themselves in the address book. It's not real thorough, but yeah, so you can throttle some of that down, and you may want to control your address book so that it doesn't show you some of these groups. I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but I think you have a valid point. That's a lot of records to retrieve out of one script.
Okay. Our next question is, the drop-down list shows ticket number, which isn't easily identifiable. So can you search on company or contact instead of ticket number?
Not in this field. If you pull up, let's just pull up all the tickets here. You'll notice that if you go ahead and click the magnifying lens, you do see more than just the ticket ID. I agree. I don't know what you're supposed to be able to glean from looking at a long ticket number, but you can see here that you can see, you know, who's the contact and the email and the company and the business type. So there are some searching features in here and so forth as well. And you can add more columns and things to it as well. So I wish there was a way to change it. I don't know how to do that right now. In other words, rather than give me the number, maybe give me a description of the ticket in that drop-down. I don't know how to do that right now, because right now it's only showing you the number. But this is how I got around it.
Okay. Our next question is, who has the ability to add user fields in Outlook or in the Outlook meeting panel? Can anyone do this? Is it something that can be controlled?
It's your personal Outlook panel. So if you're making changes like you saw me do, adding fields, that's only going to impact you. So all of these settings and so forth are actually stored in your local PST file or in your Exchange PST file, whatever you're using, by user. So if you have these user fields showing up here, this is only going to affect you personally, whoever you logged in as to Outlook. This is not a universal change.
Okay. Our next question is, does the phone call follow-up shown in CRM also show in Outlook? If so, how? Is it a task?
Nope, it shows up as a meeting. So that phone call we created is right here. You know, it's telling us that it's a phone call meeting type, but Outlook is really viewing it as a meeting. It's not viewing it as a to-do or a task, because to-dos in Infor CRM are showing up as tasks in Outlook. And as far as I can see, the to-dos and tasks don't have that same integration. They don't allow you to link it to, you know, contacts and accounts. I don't know why they didn't include that, but it's not here. So yeah, maybe that'll be something in the future rev. Now tasks do sync, that's true, but creating new tasks in here doesn't link them automatically.
Okay, our next question is there an easy way to import contacts from individual Outlook profiles and match them to current customers?
Well, as far as an easy way, you can use the Saleslogix import wizard to do that, or you can use, you know, the Outlook integration, the contact sync engine to do that. You can sync records that way, but there's really two answers to this question. One of them is getting the records into CRM from Outlook, and then number two, getting rid of duplicates, which I think was part of the question. So that's really a two-step process. There's really not any tools that do a great job of that. You can export records out now into a CSV file and then import them into contacts and do a match on a field. But it doesn't, it's not as robust as like the included import wizard or some of the third-party tools like Terabus, which is purpose-built to do just what was asked for there. So in either case, you're really faced with two steps: getting them imported, however you choose to do that, and then merging duplicates together as a second step.
All right, let's see. It looks like we have another one. In Outlook, if I have access to a shared calendar, can I schedule CRM activities for a user other than myself by accessing their Outlook calendar?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have any way to even test that because I don't have any shared calendars. I could try to set up a test system that is set up that way. So I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. And I know what you're asking. Can I schedule a calendar item in Outlook for somebody else? I don't have any shared calendar functions set up. I mean, certainly you can invite other people. You get that part of it. But if you're saying that I want to schedule a meeting for somebody other than me, who I'm logged in as, I don't have that set up right now. I'm only looking at my own calendars. I don't have any shared calendars to play with. So I'm not sure the answer to that one.
Okay, our next question is, can a user pick which meetings on their Outlook calendar sync with CRM to ensure their entire Outlook calendar doesn't show up as meetings in CRM?
Not that I know of. It's all or nothing. Because when you sync, the only really adjustable part of the sync story is, which Outlook calendar folder. I just use the default calendar, two-way versus one-way. But there's no filtering. There's nothing that could say, well, if it's on a Tuesday, don't sync those. So there's no filtering that I know of that I've seen in here that would allow you to limit in any way those calendar items. If I understood the question correctly, I don't believe there is a way to do that. It's all or nothing based on these couple of simple rules.
Okay, our next question is, if you click on a contact card on the right-hand side, will the relevant tickets to that contact be shown?
Yeah, but it's only going to show you the tickets or the group that you had activated. So in other words, I'm only showing, for John Abbott, I'm only showing the ones that are my tickets assigned to me. That's the group I told it to use. But you can make changes to that and say, well, show me all the tickets or every open ticket, whether it's mine or not. And so if you do that, I don't know if it's going to show more data, but I guess there are only two in there for me. So it's going to honor the tickets that fall into the group I chose. If you click on this little drop down.
Our next question is, a longstanding issue is not easily being able to add or update ticket information from incoming emails. Is this any better in this version?
Well, the only change they've really made is the area, category, and issue part of the story. So I wouldn't say that it's changed or better. I'm not sure what specifically the person who asked might be looking for, but here's what you can do with a ticket. And then, like I said, they added area, category, and issue. We had said that. And the problem and solution is listed here. So this is what you get out of the box. And this is not, in this version, is not customizable. You can't modify this panel yet. The next version, you're going to be able to modify these panels in Xbar.
Just a follow-up to that is the comment was made, it's relating to existing tickets.
This is an existing ticket, ticket number 40. If I click on it, this is what I can edit. These are the fields I have available to me to make edits to an Xbar. That's it.
And then I have one comment here back to being able to control what's synced with the Outlook calendars. A user chimed in that they created Outlook calendars to control what is synced. So I don't know if that...
could do that. That's a good idea. Thank you for that. Because, yeah, right now I'm just using my calendar, but you can create a new calendar and call it like my CRM stuff, for example, and then you can select that as the calendar that CRM syncs to. Because, like I said, right now I have one, but that's a good idea. You could create another calendar database and just have the ones you really want to sync to CRM. That's the calendar in Outlook you create the meetings for, so that would be a great way to control that. And, you know, Outlook has the ability for you to see multiple calendars overlaid on top of each other, and it'll color code them and things like that. So it's really probably not as bad as it all sounds. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. So it's really not doing it on filters. It's doing it because you purposely put that appointment on the calendar database that you've told it you want to sync with CRM. So you're in control rather than it based on some query, you know, like I said on Tuesdays, those don't sync. So that might be a good workaround for somebody.
It looks like we don't have any more questions right now. But if anyone thinks of anything later regarding